Sometimes new stars are born. Sometimes talent comes out of nowhere. Sometimes talent ends up getting traded away. Sometimes talent may force their way out to start a new beginning. But sometimes legends are made. While some talent rise above the noise, sometimes the worst happens. What will it be? Hey guys, welcome to episode 22 of My NBA World, where we look at the league-wide talent. In recent news, LeBron James, after his retirement, is now the cover athlete for 2K once again. And the AllStar Voting has came back. Giannis led the way with 2.7 million votes in the East, once again the captain for his conference. In the backcourt for the Eastern Conference, the duo of Charlotte could be playing side by side in the All-Star event, while in the West, Jokic led all players in total votes with 2.9 million. The Jazz duo, Jameer Ware and James Harden, are both fourth in voting in their respective positions. And in the backcourt, Izzy Ball is only at the 8th spot, having to compete with many highly known names and legends. Now we have the one and only Christmas game. The New Orleans Pelicans will match up versus the Utah Jazz. Zion Williamson going up against James Harden. Now when we bring up Harden, I like to talk about his play style. The once unstoppable scorer in his prime with Houston, winning an MVP and scoring 36 points a game in 2019, has now shifted his play style, and the play style change has been astonishing, going from being the dominant scoring force to the elite playmaker. In almost the same amount of games in his latest 4 seasons, Harden's efficiency has increased while his scoring output has lowered dramatically. In his time with the Jazz, his playstyle shift has worked so much to the point that Utah are now NBA champions, led by the 2025 Finals MVP James Harden. The Utah Jazz are now facing off against the New Orleans Pelicans, the young star Izzy Ball matching up versus Western Conference foe James Harden. At the age of 36, Harden years are now limited. Harden is on contract with the Utah Jazz until 2027, however, where it seems like he will be ready to hang up the jersey for good after the contract expires. Izzy, just in his 3rd year in the league and his 1st year with New Orleans, has been pretty impressive this year. His play style similar to Harden, being a 20+ point per game scorer while being a great playmaker. Izzy, being 13 years younger than Harden, had a lot to look forward to. Sadly, it doesn't seem like he will be in the All-Star game this year, but the Pelicans have been looking great in the season. Having a stacked starting 5, the new GM has been making many moves, trading for DeJounte Murray from the rebuilding Atlanta Hawks, and with so much talent, the Pelican stars' stats have gone down, but the overall team efficiency has gone up from years previous. The New Orleans Pelicans and the Utah Jazz both have a top 5 highest pace in the league. The Pelicans number 1 in points off turnovers and second chance points, which has led them to such a great record. With the Jazz, James Harden's playmaking role has been increasing over his scoring role, only averaging 20.5 points a game this season, but the beard can still go off for high numbers when he feels he needs to. Harden lighting up New Orleans for 39 points and 8 assists on Christmas Day. For the Pelicans, Zion played well too, putting up 31 points and 10 rebounds on 12 of 17 field goal shooting. In the waning moments, the star role player Mikal Bridges came up in the clutch after a nice defensive stop. Down by 2, Mikal Bridges waits for a catch and shoot opportunity, and after Harden ends up hitting Bridges, and Mikal will drain the 3 over DeJounte Murray, putting the Jazz up 127 to 126 over the Pelicans on Christmas Day. And after being subbed out on defense, Izzy Ball is now subbed in for the final plays of the intense Christmas Day match. The Jazz up 128 to 126 with under 20 seconds left. Ingram has the ball and he sits on top of the 3-point line. Zion cuts low. Ingram ends up getting right side. Bridges off balance from the screen and it goes in and out. But Zion, he grabs the board over Bobby Portis. Zion gets a good look, but he's gonna miss the shot, which would have tied up the ball game. a great Christmas Day matchup, ending in a big Jazz victory against the up-and-coming Pelicans squad. After a transaction, ending up with Memphis gaining some depth, acquiring Rui Hachimura from the Wizards, we see the debut of De'Aaron Fox on the New York Knicks. The Knicks going up against a top team in the league, the Memphis Grizzlies. Fox with the Knicks has been solid, and his mindset has been more focused on basketball instead of leaving Sacramento. The Grizzlies have been very dangerous with Ja Morant and Kyrie Irving on the same court. Thankfully for the Memphis fans, no extreme drama or injuries have happened this year, and while Kyrie and Ja have been balling out, creating a very dangerous duo that every team has had troubles with. The Knicks have been a solid team, able to squeeze out tough games in the final moments. New York has been a top 3 scoring team in the fourth quarter, causing the Knicks to be able to increase their leads or a comeback late in the game. But it has been odd on the defensive end with the Knicks. RJ Barrett was bad defensively, but after trading him, they now have Brunson and Fox. While having Randall at the 4, their team does seem small. The sophomore Christian Green Jr. is great on offense, but his defense isn't anything stellar even with his size. And more the Knicks rely on Miles Turner to lead their unit on defense, but the Knicks offense has been very solid. New York definitely has good weapons, but are the Knicks good enough to win the championship? For Memphis, Kyrie Irving was dominant versus the Knicks, able to do anything he wanted with no real defense going up against him. Kyrie was throwing up lobs to the high-rising John Collins, who they just got in free agency, putting Randall completely on his back at one point. Then Kyrie Irving putting on crazy dribble moves against Randall, going on multiple highlight reels, and Kyrie Irving hitting the tough shots all night versus New York while leading a dominant Grizzlies win in the process. Kyrie's insanely efficient 44 points leading the way, and the Knicks are just disappointed that they couldn't even put up a fight versus a good opponent themselves. And with the trade deadline approaching, players are speaking out on their situations that they aren't happy with. And Trenton Flowers had been playing for the Pacers G League team for most part of the regular season. Being the 4th overall pick, Flowers expected more of a role on the team. With his unhappiness, the team felt he had to be traded so Flowers couldn't hurt the team's chemistry. The Hawks will end up getting the 4th overall pick, and Flowers will get what he asked for, immediately getting playing time for the Hawks. Flowers with a hyped up prospect, being a 6'10" shooting guard, and the Hawks front office can't be mad receiving such a high potential player. In his debut, the Atlanta Hawks will be playing the Portland Trail Blazers and Damian Lillard. The Hawks center Andrew Gretsch is no longer in the starting lineup. With good play, he can get back in the starting group. Dame Lillard starts the game off hot with a deep 3 over DeAndre Hunter. But for the Hawks, Trenton Flowers goes one-on-one against Anthony Simons, using the height advantage like every Hawks fan wants. Trenton is 7 inches taller than Simons, and with Flowers being a 6'10" guard, he'll be seeing a mismatch nearly every game he plays. The 3rd overall pick for Portland, CJ Simmons, has been underwhelming to start his NBA career. In the games he played, Simmons only played 18.5 minutes per game, putting up 9 points a game. And the Hawks, with the highly talented and newly acquired Trenton Flowers, the Hawks roster has a new dynamic to win games, helping out the Hawks' playoff chances when the season is all done. And the Hawks will end up beating the Blazers 112-99, and Trenton Flowers in the NBA debut with the Hawks is looking good. The Magic big man is out for 10 games with the elbow injury, which is a bad injury for shooters like Martin Novak. Onto the game, we now have the Charlotte Hornets going up against the Orlando Magic. Kadon Ryan getting dressed up and fired up pregame with Will O'Neal. And even though at times the chemistry of the Hornets roster is questionable, the Hornets always find a way to come together to win games. Versus the Magic, the Hornets need to win games like this. Going into the matchup, the Hornets were 2-4 in the last 6 games, and being the 6th seed in the East, they're playing up against the Magic, who are the 9th seed. Even though in this trap game the Hornets were definitely favorites to win, the Magic did not let anything come easy for Charlotte. The Hornets tonight were led by Kadon Ryan's offense, while the Magic's young stars Paolo Banchero and Stephon Castleberry were playing solid. The Orlando Magic tonight were clicking offensively versus the Hornets defense. The Magic ended the half with a 59-51 lead over the reigning conference champs. Many Hornets fans have been worried about a possible finals hangover setting in with the Hornets players. But in the fourth quarter, many clutch plays by Kadon Ryan and Will O'Neal kept the game close. LaMelo struggled, only scoring 13 points with 6 assists while losing 9 turnovers. With under a minute remaining in the game, the Hornets were pulling out the trick plays, throwing inbound passes to Kadon on the alley-oop, while Kadon would connect with Will O'Neal on an alley-oop play himself. And with just 21 seconds left, the Magic inbound ends up getting stolen by Kadon Ryan, and with only 13 seconds left, the Hornets are only down 2 points. Kadon Ryan backs up to the 3-point line, and he's gonna drain a 3 with only 0.2 seconds left. Kadon drains the game winner in Orlando to pull out a close game over the Magic. Kadon Ryan will finish the game with a career-high 51 points in Orlando, and the Hornets after this game go on a 5-game win streak, and LaMelo and Kadon have been fantastic for the Hornets, leading the young group back to their winning ways to hopefully get back to the finals to revenge their loss versus the Utah Jazz. Next up, we have the Denver Nuggets versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The two best big men in the league will match up, Nikola Jokic versus Joel Embiid. The others on both teams showed up, including Jamal Murray for the Nuggets and the sophomore Cam Johnson for the Nuggets as well, putting up 12 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists. The 76ers had Tyrese Maxey score 19 points and 5 assists, but who really stole the show were the big men. Jokic did not disappoint, having a dominant performance versus the toughest player to match up against for Jokic possible. Embiid played pretty good tonight, but did not put up the stats like Nikola Jokic did. In the clutch, Jalen Suggs hits a cornered 3 with just 20 seconds left in the game to tie the game up at 128. And on the multiple MVP winner Nikola Jokic, Embiid will go up for the shot, but Jokic actually contests well and Embiid will miss it, but then he gets the offensive rebound. But unlike Zion, he will make the layup to go up by 2 with just 0.5 seconds left. And the Nuggets can still get a jump shot though if they want it. And with just 0.5 seconds left, Jokic gets the shot and he actually makes the 3. They end up going for the jumper, but many have called Jokic a slow player, and this play might support their claims. Jokic just too slow to get the shot off in time, and this game only makes the Jokic or Embiid debate even more challenging, with the Sixers coming up on top. But Jokic just completely dominated this game on a player-by-player matchup. But in the end, Joel Embiid did win the game while isolating Jokic in the clutch, and Jokic allowing Embiid to grab that offensive rebound to make the game winner. And only time will tell if the debate of Embiid or Jokic will end up getting settled. Next up, we have the Indiana Pacers going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Two young teams in different phases of contending status. Two star point guards matching up. Tyrese Halliburton, the assist merchant for Indiana, and Darius Garland for the Cleveland Cavaliers. For the Pacers, Kristaps Porzingis was disappointing last year for Indiana, only averaging around 16 and 8 on 47 field goal percent shooting. But this season, Kristaps has been putting up a solid 20 points a game and 9 rebounds on 49 field goal percent. The Cavaliers were 18 and 3 at one point in the season, but going into this matchup, the Cavaliers were only 29 and 11. Of course, not a bad record, but a clear drop off from their stellar play to start the year. With the addition of spark plug bench player Josh Christopher and Jose Alvarado, the Pacers rebounded from a slow start, impressing fans across the league, beating a quality opponent. Tyrese Halliburton, early season MVP candidate, had himself a good game as well, leading the Pacers to an impressive victory. And for the Cavs, fans are starting to worry. The Cavaliers, after the loss tonight versus Indiana, are on a 5-game losing streak, and with this victory, the Pacers try to prove that they are a serious contender in a tightly contested Eastern Conference playoff race. The Pacers are now 23-18 after the win, and Indiana looks to use this game as momentum for the rest of the season. Now the Chicago Bulls face off versus the Houston Rockets in Chicago. The newcomers in Chicago go up against the proven young stars of the Houston Rockets. Lonzo Ball has gotten worse from his 2021 self ever since the major injury Lonzo suffered back in 2022, his field goal percent shooting being one of the worst in the league at only 40% field goal percent shooting. But he seems to be a mentor to the young group that was added after the Mavericks trade that sent Zach LaVine and Vucevic to Dallas. The Bulls are not that talented of a group. Many fans hope for the new young core to step up for Chicago, led by undrafted center Kai James and other undrafted player, the guard St. Montgomery, and the former Maverick, the sophomore Sean Taylor. The Chicago Bulls are hoping for a play-in spot at best, but the Bulls started to such a bad start before they acquired the 3 new players. But even with the new young talent, the Bulls flat out suck. In the first 20 games with the 3 new Bulls, Chicago is only 5-15. And when we're talking about the Houston Rockets and the first overall pick, OJ Tremblay, they have actually been solid, staying around the 6th to 9th seed in the West all year. Tremblay only stands at 5'10", but it has not limited the first overall pick on offense. But on defense, it has shown some weaknesses. Any player that matches up with him seems to be able to just back him down in the paint. But even with this, the young stars on Houston has led the way for an easy win for the Rockets versus an awful but fun to watch Chicago Bulls team. The Bulls, not surprisingly, will end up getting criticized, and Stephen A. Smith will come out with a statement stating that St. Montgomery has been putting up empty stats on a trash team. Many fans around the league agree with that statement, while others argue that the undrafted guard is actually a talented scorer on a team that just hasn't been winning. I guess y'all can decide what y'all think. And we now have a trade, a 3-team trade, including Oklahoma City, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Toronto Raptors. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is finally moved, and William Wilson is also packaged with Shai, and Demetrius Augustine will also end up in Brooklyn. The Raptors receive some good young talent and some picks, while the Thunder will receive Desmond Bane from the Nets and DJ Wagner from the Raptors and a pick for Shai and William Wilson. And after the trade, we will now see the debut of Augustine, Wilson, and Shai on the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets will be taking on the Golden State Warriors led by Steph Curry and Siakam. And the two teams do have similar records, and the Nets felt that they had to make a move. When Brooklyn saw that Shai was getting dangled in trade talks, they knew Desmond Bane or former number 1 pick Xavier Booker could get the deal done. And Bane, at 27 years old, was averaging 21.2 points a game for Brooklyn before he got traded. A solid trade piece, and especially when you're getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Nets were fine with trading him. And for the Warriors, who made an offseason trade for Pascal Siakam, the trade has not done much. Even though on paper the Warriors team is pretty stacked, Golden State has not been able to win this year. And with the trade deadline approaching, Draymond Green has been in many trade talks, Green getting frustrated with the multiple seasons losing. The Warriors have not been in the playoffs since the 2023 to 2024 season, when they lost to Utah in the first round. For Brooklyn, they were able to keep the 2024 first overall pick Xavier Booker, and the Nets are now extremely talented, led by star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 3 sophomores, all from the 2024 draft class. Augustine was similar to Cam Thomas, but a lot younger and with more potential, while Wilson can be a solid pick and roll forward while being able to catch the lob, post up, and shoot the ball. The Warriors recently have been on the up and up, going 6-2 in their last 8, but even with this being the debut of the new Nets, the team is able to beat the improving Warriors team, and Golden State's road losses still piling up At one point, Xavier Booker appeared to be slightly hurt in garbage time when Draymond got a little physical. Booker's so talented that he actually still made the shot for the and one, and it actually ended up being just a minor groin injury. Booker will only miss 2 games maximum. And even with this, the Nets almost score 150, an impressive debut for the massive change of talent after the 3-team trade for Brooklyn with the Raptors and the Thunder. And Victor Oladipo ends up getting traded to the Timberwolves for a first-round pick, and we will now see Oladipo twice in this episode, both times not doing much. The Suns will take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Devin Booker going up against friends D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. Booker going up against star shooting guard Anthony Edwards as well. And D'Angelo Russell and the Wolves started the game off hot, and out of every top Western Conference contender, the Suns have the most blatant hole. The Suns run extreme small ball lineups. Daniel Gafford is the Suns starting center, only standing at 6'10", which allowed Karl Anthony Towns to always have a mismatch, and Cat was dominant in this matchup. And at times, Phoenix even runs 6'1" point guard Terry Rozier at power forward, and the 6'9" Jared Vanderbilt at center. Even with this disadvantage on defense, the Suns have been dominating on offense with the small ball system, being able to constantly outscore their opponents with everyone being able to shoot the 3 and being led by the amazing playmaker Trae Young, with a top 3 shooting guard in the league, Devin Booker, and with microwave scorers off the bench like JJ Shuttlesworth and Terry Rozier. But when you look toward the playoffs, we rarely see a small ball lineup dominate in the postseason. Will the Suns be able to outscore every top 8 team that they match up against in the playoffs? And in the match versus the Timberwolves, Devin Booker's 37 points and Trae Young's 30 points and 12 assists led the Suns to another high-scoring victory. The rookie Shuttlesworth off the bench also scored 21 points, and he has been off to a great start to the year, but how can he actually get into the starting lineup? There's no way for him to get the nod over Young or Booker, and the coaching staff rather start someone with size like Cameron Johnson at the 3. Even with the questions, the Suns fans are ecstatic, with the Suns going on an 8-game win streak after struggling against the Knicks last episode. Karl Anthony Towns, like other centers versus Phoenix, was able to get his, but with the Suns almost scoring 150, it's almost impossible for one center to beat them single-handedly, and the Suns will get the W led by Devin Booker, trying to get his team to win a championship. Next up, we have the Detroit Pistons going against the Los Angeles Lakers. Anthony Davis finally the captain of the Lakers with LeBron retiring in the offseason. The 2025 second overall pick, Nasir Cunningham, goes up against the 2023 6th overall pick, Paul Thompson. Thompson was drafted by the Wizards, but signed with the Lakers in the offseason. The Los Angeles Lakers front office, trying to build a contender with Anthony Davis leading the way. They signed many players like Jonathan Kuminga from the Warriors and Rudy Gobert from the Timberwolves alongside Paul Thompson. The Lakers have been great to start the year, sticking around the top 4 seed in the West all season long. And the Detroit Pistons and the Lakers were in a close game this matchup, and after a Mikey Williams 3, nothing but net, the Lakers only lead by 4, 112 to 108. Then with the score 114 to 111, Jaden Ivey will end up getting the shot, but after a Jaden Ivey miss, it seemed like the game was over, but it looked like the Pistons were going to get the ball back when Kuminga ran into Victor Wembanyama straight up, but the refs end up calling the foul on Wembanyama, and even if it was right call or not, the Pistons fans are upset that they couldn't squeak out a close game versus a very good team. And the Lakers go on to win the game 115 to 111, led by Paul Thompson's 23 points and 5 steals, and Anthony Davis's 28 points and 11 rebounds. After the game, the Nuggets end up trading for Josh Richardson for a bag of chips, helping to add more depth to Denver's roster before the trade deadline. And the Warriors are going to end up trading Draymond Green after all this time being with Golden State. The Sixers are going to get the triple single magnet, while the Warriors get a decent bench guard, making it clear that Golden State just wanted to move on from Draymond's drama. But it still seems like guys like Klay and especially Steph will not be leaving Golden State, but obviously Draymond was expendable. Lastly, we'll just take a look at the award races. OJ Tremblay, the #1 pick and second spot so far. Nasir Cunningham, #1 with 17 points a game. Stephon Castleberry as well in the race, and JJ Shuttlesworth. For Depoy, it really could be anyone, but maybe it's finally time for Wembanyama to win the award after being in the race for so many times. Most improved player, Jameer Ware is #1 so far. He was also in Depoy, Jameer just being in a lot of award races so far. Even the user player Cam Johnson for the Nuggets is in the most improved player race. And for the most important one, MVP, Jameer Ware is also in this award race, and he has a chance at winning it. And other players like LaMelo Ball for the Hornets, Nikola Jokic, who is having a dominant year, and John Morant, who won it in 2024. And for betting fans, Jason Tatum has the highest odds to win the MVP as of right now, but it could go to someone like Jokic or even Ware, who are having very good seasons on their respective Western Conference teams with very good records. And guys, that will do it for the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to, leave a like and a sub. It will help me out greatly. Just trying to get the channel a little bit bigger, just get the reach out further. Hopefully more people will end up liking the videos, or maybe not. We'll see when that time comes. And thank you for watching, and I'm out. Peace.